Hey, welcome here in Namaste, everybody. It's Robin with Oracle Rising. Thank you so much for joining me on the channel today. I'm going to talk a little bit about shadow work, and I'm going to give you guys a little bit of a starter kit. I think it's really consistently important to discuss shadow work and integration of shadow self, recognition, acceptance of shadow self, because shadow is always with you. Shadow is your darker side, you guys, just in case you weren't aware of what I was talking about. I'm also a tarot card reader, so when I pull the devil card in a tarot card reading for anybody or for the collective, this is also an indication that the shadow self is rising. So there's going to be just multiple opportunities across our lifespans where shadow work is going to be necessary. We're going to be triggered. We're going to be put in uncomfortable situations. Pain and trauma are always slowly being released from your past, no matter how recent or how far away. So you will have to deal with shadow self because it is part of you. It is sometimes the smartest part of you. It is sometimes the most resilient part of you. So, and they can be a little bit difficult to outwit. So I have a little 6-point starter kit for you guys, and you might want to bookmark this video just in case you're ever struggling with really difficult, emotional, like traumatic situations. And then you can come back to your center and just remember that you can control what is going on within you. If you can't control what's going on externally, at least you can grab hold of yourself, okay? So we're gonna start right in here, guys, and remember to comment and subscribe, okay? Shameless plug. Okay, so the past, you guys, the past can really keep you stuck. I know so many people that have horrifying stories, you know, in their childhood, teen years. The past is never that far away. If you haven't forgiven yourself for doing something, you know, maybe not that great, or if you haven't forgiven somebody, whoever like trespassed against you, okay? So one of the things that I like to say about the past is that you know that you've healed from it when you can tell your story and you no longer cry. Okay, so releasing the past and releasing grudges, it's an internal poison. You know, it's not doing anybody any good, grudge holding specifically, and being able to work through your traumatic past, your childhood events, whatever happened to you. You know, I had a very, very difficult childhood up until about the age of 40. So I really relate to that, you guys. So I hope that helps you. Journaling can really help, like writing letters that you have no intention of sending can really help. So look at ways of releasing the past. You might need to do some sort of aura or energy cleansing, or just actually saying, I forgive you, whether it's to the mirror or somebody else, okay? This second one is going to be so important. We're always going to meet people in situations that are uncomfortable, okay? Sometimes we have extreme emotional baggage in any given moment, and your shadow can sometimes come up to elicit incorrect responses to emotional trauma. And this can be like binge eating, online shopping, like in-person shopping, just anything that is just going to promote you not to face any current challenge. So I'm super reminded of Who Has Seen Gone with the Wind, of Scarlett O'Hara, and she would never face what was going on in her life. Oh, tomorrow is going to be another day. Well, if you keep putting off your emotional like garbage, you know what I mean? That emotional stuff that is so heavy and dark, you could just continue to sweep it further and further under the rug until you're like, well, I'm fine now. But then you get triggered another day and it all comes rushing up. So, you know, it can be really important to just sit really quietly with yourself and ask yourself questions. Why is this bothering me? You know, what can I learn from this experience instead of letting it manipulate my behavior into things that, maybe you worked so hard to get over, a lot of people turn to addictive behavior to deal with trauma. And I did a video when I first started the channel, and it was called Trauma is the Real Gateway to Addiction, or something like that. But anyway, so you really just have to work on it and sit down, and maybe, again, journaling is going to be so important for getting through any of your shadow work. So that was point number 2. So the third thing I have here is handling pain appropriately. The first thing I think about with people in pain is that they, you ever heard that phrase, hurt people hurt people? So people can really externalize their pain, and you can see it in the headlines all the time. You can see it in the people around you, the people yelling at each other, people performing abusive behaviors, okay? So if you are in pain, you have to give yourself the grace to recover, like you can say things like, I'm not ready to discuss this situation right now. I don't even know what's going on in my head. Even if people don't understand you, they can accept what boundaries you are putting in place. So this can be very challenging when you're confronted with another hurt person that they're dealing with their shadow self, and you could really go toe-to-toe with somebody accidentally, okay, because you guys are on a path to trigger each other. And I know this has happened to my oldest son, especially when he was going through his dark night of the soul, because his emotions were very, very close to the surface, and he was on a hair trigger. So understanding your own pain and what you need in that moment, and also handling the pain of other people. I think a lot of you guys are empaths, and you can let me know in the comments if you are. Intrinsically when somebody is upset, annoyed, overwrought, furious, okay? So for me, I know automatically, if you were going to phone me as a friend and say, hey, what's up? I would automatically say, what's wrong? I already know that about somebody. So you could practice avoidance if that's what you need to do, or practice compassion, or some sort of combination of behavior that is not going to put you in a position where you would have to resort to your own shadow self behavior, okay? This one is really important, this fourth one. Sometimes we feel so obligated to stay around people or places or our employers, our jobs, and they're super toxic, okay? It can be very hard when it's somebody in your family. I really strongly believe that we do not have to associate with family members if they are toxic and doing any sort of damage on a physical, intellectual, emotional, if they're a gaslighter, if they're too difficult, you know what I mean? You can love people from afar, And I read this phrase the other day that, as you age in life, the person in your family that was always on the outer fringes, they all of a sudden make sense. And that one really hit me very hard, okay? Because that made sense to me in such a deep and complex way. We don't have to constantly forgive people and stay in their path, especially if they have no clue what is going on with their own shadow work. So it is okay for you to move on from relationships that are damaging. It's okay for you to find another job and move on to a more healthy environment. If you're living in a very toxic place, it's okay for you to find someplace else to live, okay? If somebody is relying on you so much or making you feel, let's say, guilty or in some other kind of way, that their life would implode if you move on, you must understand that they are not in a healthy place and that you are probably being manipulated. So keep that in mind, okay? Okay. I was going to keep going, but I'm going to move on to the next And fifth point, and I really want you guys to tell me if this is a place where you are in your life, okay? So to fall in love with yourself. Do you really love the person that you are? Would you be your friend if you were somebody else? You know, would you date you? You know what I mean? And these are things to really work on. Everybody is always going to have their dark side, you know, always. And in some cases, it will be your savior. Okay. So it's okay to have your dark side. It's okay to observe dark side in other people. But at the end of the day, how do you really feel about yourself? And what words are you speaking to yourself? Are you practicing compassion towards the person that you are? I've talked about before, you know, I had sort of a body dysmorphic, you know, I insulted myself all day long, and I do not want that for you guys. Okay. So it comes to a point in your life where you just like, I cannot treat myself this way anymore. And I know inner saboteur and shadow self is very, very active, works overtime, is a very, very dedicated employee. But your spirit deserves more. You know, you as a human, you deserve more than that. As a divine being of love and light, you deserve the love that you give to other people. Okay, so really think about that one. How do you truly, truly feel about yourself? Okay, so in the sixth one that I have here, this is so important. Prevent yourself and others from making you feel small. Okay, and this is where I'm talking about releasing toxic people. You learn how to treat yourself from the people that you grow up around, okay? And possibly relationships, really toxic relationships. So that behavior can then teach new people in your life how to treat you, because you weren't brought up in a place where possibly you weren't putting in boundaries of strength and compassion for yourself. So if you start to feel like, you know, and it's a physical thing, you can just feel yourself withdrawing, you know, if somebody gives you that death glare, or like I hear so many people that their parents are still chipping away at them, even though they're adults in their own right, and they can just say, listen, that's enough already. I don't live under your roof. It's not fair. You can just say that full stop to somebody. That is not a welcome communication stream right now. We are not having this conversation again. So really learning how to put in strong boundaries for yourself. When it comes to your own invasive thoughts, I mean, this still happens to me every day, you know. If I do something, if I drop something, you know, I'm like, oh, stupid, you know, because that's how I was brought up. And it's still the first thing I think. And I still have to run in and rescue myself every single day. So, I mean, we're our own harshest critics. So we certainly don't need anybody in our existence telling us the things that we already know about ourselves, and sometimes like wildly untrue. And again, this could be coming from some sort of a narcissist or a gaslighter or some other type of manipulator, because they know how to pull your strings. Okay, so if you ever start to feel like, you know, you're unworthy, or you can feel your shoulders like kind of crushing inwards and just like you want to cry, you can get up and leave. You know, you can end the phone call, you can end the conversation. You're allowed to block people, put in healthy boundaries. And if you're in this stage here on this 6 point where you are being made to feel small, I really want to recommend that you work on boundary setting, both within your own mind and the minds of others and the actions of others. Okay, so this is a very short list of shadow work and how to start opening the road for your shadow self integration, or if you just get kicked back into a shadow moment. Okay, so make sure you save this video, because I'm sure there's going to be a point in time where like, oh, this is happening again. So you might want to just have another sit down and let me help you through this. Okay, guys? So many blessings, love and light, just like so much love to you guys. Namaste. Okay, take care. Bye.